The battle for dominance is no longer fought on land alone. The real power lies at sea. With China rapidly expanding its fleet and global superpowers relying on aircraft carriers to control vital sea lanes, the question is, where does India stand? Can INS Vikrant and the future INS Vishal turn the tide in India's favor? This is not just about war, it's about power, prestige, and protecting India's interests on a global scale. Welcome to India's aircraft carrier strategy, why INS Vikrant is a game changer. The Indian Ocean is the new frontier of global power struggles. From the Strait of Malacca to the Arabian Sea, controlling these waters means controlling trade, security, and influence. In this evolving geopolitical chessboard, India's naval strategy plays a crucial role. Aircraft carriers have long been the crown jewels of naval power, projecting strength far beyond national borders. And today, we will explore how India's latest aircraft carrier, INS Vikrant, is a game changer in this grand strategy. In this video, we will discuss the role of aircraft carriers in modern warfare, India's aircraft carrier history and evolution, the cutting-edge features of INS Vikrant, how INS Vikrant enhances India's maritime strategy, the future of India's aircraft carrier program. This is Strategic Vanguard. Let's dive in. Aircraft carriers are more than just massive warships. They are floating fortresses that serve as the backbone of a nation's ability to project power across the globe. In modern naval warfare, control of the seas is synonymous with control of global trade, security, and influence. Here's why aircraft carriers remain indispensable in modern military strategy. What is power projection? Power projection is a nation's ability to deploy and sustain military forces far from its homeland. Unlike land-based air forces, which depend on foreign bases or refueling stations, an aircraft carrier provides an independent, mobile airbase that can move directly into conflict zones. How aircraft carriers enable power projection. Ability to deploy strike forces anywhere. Carriers allow a navy to deploy fighter jets, bombers, electronic warfare aircraft, and reconnaissance planes anywhere in the world. This eliminates reliance on foreign air bases, which may be denied due to political constraints. Rapid response to crises. A carrier battle group can arrive at a conflict zone in days, not weeks. Examples include 1991 Gulf War. U.S. aircraft carriers launched strikes against Iraqi forces within hours of deployment. 2011 Libya intervention. French and American carriers enabled quick airstrikes to enforce a no-fly zone. Diplomatic and psychological influence. The presence of an aircraft carrier in a region sends a strong message of military readiness and deterrence. Nations often deploy carriers as a political tool to assert influence without direct conflict. Example, the U.S. regularly sends carriers to the South China Sea to challenge China's territorial claims. For India, INS Vikrant allows India to project power far beyond its shores, ensuring that the Indian Navy can operate in the Indian Ocean, the South China Sea, and even beyond into the Pacific and Middle East, if needed. What is sea control? Sea control means maintaining full dominance over a specific maritime region, allowing unhindered naval and commercial operations. It ensures that Allied shipping routes are protected, while enemy naval forces are kept at bay. Aircraft carriers as tools of sea control. Carrier battle groups, CBGs, as floating fortresses. Aircraft carriers never operate alone. They are part of carrier battle groups, CBGs, which include destroyers and frigates for anti-air and anti-submarine defense, submarines for stealth operations and deterrence, supply ships for extended operations. CBGs are nearly impossible to attack without serious consequences. Ensuring secure trade routes. 90% of global trade moves by sea. Countries with strong naval power secure critical maritime trade routes. The U.S. Navy safeguards the Strait of Hormuz, ensuring free oil transport from the Middle East. Defensive and offensive capabilities. With a carrier in a region, naval forces can launch preemptive strikes before enemies get too close. Example, during the Cold War, the U.S. positioned carriers near the Soviet Union's coast as a deterrence mechanism. For India, INS Vikrant allows India to dominate the Indian Ocean region, IOR. It helps counter China's growing naval presence, which threatens India's influence in Sri Lanka, Maldives, and the Bay of Bengal. The Falklands War, 1982, the power of carriers. Conflict, the UK versus Argentina over the Falkland Islands. Key role of aircraft carriers. The UK deployed HMS Hermes and HMS Invincible, which were crucial for air superiority and striking Argentine forces. But without these carriers, the UK could not have maintained control over the South Atlantic. Outcome, the UK won, proving that a carrier can single-handedly turn the tide of war. Lesson for India. Just like the UK needed aircraft carriers to operate far from home, India needs Vikrant and Vikramaditya to secure its maritime interests in the Indian Ocean and beyond. US aircraft carriers in the Indo-Pacific, countering China. China's expansion. China is rapidly expanding its aircraft carrier fleet, Liaoning, Shandong, Fujian. It is building military bases in the South China Sea and the Indian Ocean, Gwadar, Hambantota, Djibouti. US response. The US deploys carrier strike groups, USS Ronald Reagan, USS Nimitz, etc., to counter China's aggression. These carriers operate near Taiwan, the Philippines, and the Indian Ocean to deter Chinese expansion. Impact. China slowed its aggressive military actions due to constant US naval presence. Lesson for India. If India does not maintain a strong carrier fleet, China will dominate the Indian Ocean, controlling critical shipping lanes. INS Vikrant is a major step toward preventing Chinese hegemony in the region. The 1971 Indo-Pak War, INS Vikrant's historic role. Background. In the 1971 India-Pakistan War, the Indian Navy played a crucial role in the Bay of Bengal. How INS Vikrant was a game-changer. The old INS Vikrant, 1961, launched airstrikes on Pakistan's ports and naval bases in East Pakistan, now Bangladesh. It completely blocked Pakistan's ability to resupply its troops. The war ended with Pakistan's surrender in just 13 days, one of the fastest military victories in history. Outcome. INS Vikrant's air superiority played a decisive role in India's victory. Lesson for India. History shows that aircraft carriers give India the upper hand in regional conflicts. INS Vikrant continues this legacy, ensuring India's naval dominance in future conflicts. Final thoughts on aircraft carriers in warfare. Aircraft carriers remain the ultimate symbol of military power. No nation can dominate the seas without carrier-based air superiority. While some argue submarines are more effective, a carrier offers unmatched power projection, deterrence, and sea control. INS Vikrant is a key piece in India's naval strategy, ensuring that India remains a dominant maritime force for decades to come. Narration. India has officially entered the elite League of Nations with multiple aircraft carriers by commissioning INS Vikrant. With rising geopolitical tensions in the Indian Ocean region, IOR, and an aggressive China expanding its naval footprint, INS Vikrant is more than just another warship. It is a game-changer. But why does India need aircraft carriers? How does INS Vikrant fit into India's broader naval strategy? Can India counter China's massive naval expansion with just 2 carriers? Let's break it down strategically and militarily. Aircraft carriers aren't just massive ships. They are power projection tools that allow a nation to 1. Project military power beyond borders. Carriers provide a mobile airbase, enabling India to operate far from its shores. Unlike land-based air forces, which rely on foreign bases or refueling stations, a carrier group can strike anywhere, anytime. 2. Control and dominate strategic maritime zones. Carriers defend sea lanes, ensuring trade and supply routes remain secure. With China's expanding navy, India needs INS Vikrant to secure the Indian Ocean and deter naval threats. 3. Provide a rapid response force in conflicts. Carriers allow quick deployment of air power, critical during crises. Example, U.S. carriers in the South China Sea regularly challenge China's territorial claims. INS Vikrant gives India the same capability in its region. Case study, Falklands War 1982. UK versus Argentina. Aircraft carriers were decisive in defeating Argentina's forces far from the UK mainland. Lesson for India. Without carriers, India cannot project power effectively in the Indo-Pacific. India's doctrine focuses on sea control and power projection. To achieve this, the Indian Navy follows a multi-carrier strategy. Why does India need multiple aircraft carriers? 1. Two-front challenge. China and Pakistan. China is building its 3rd carrier and increasing naval bases in Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and Djibouti. Pakistan's Gwadar port can be a launch pad for Chinese naval operations in the Arabian Sea. INS Vikrant allows India to counter both threats in the Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea simultaneously. 2. Carrier availability and maintenance. Aircraft carriers require heavy maintenance. With only one carrier, India would be vulnerable when it is undergoing repairs. A minimum of 3 carriers is necessary. 1 operational, 1 under maintenance, 1 on standby, training. 3. Securing the Indian Ocean region, IOR. 80% of India's trade passes through the IOR. Chinese submarines are already patrolling the region. INS Vikrant helps India dominate the Indian Ocean and counter the Chinese presence. China already has 3 carriers, Liaoning, Shandong, Fujian, and is building more. India cannot afford to lag behind in carrier capability. Key features of INS Vikrant. 1. Indigenous design and construction, built by Cochin Shipyard Limited, a made-in-India success story. Strengthens India's self-reliance in defense manufacturing. 2. Aircraft capability, operates MiG-29K fighter jets, helicopters, and drones. Future ready for next-gen fighters like the TED-BF, twin-engine deck-based fighter. 3. Advanced combat systems, combat management system, CMS, integrates all ship sensors, making it a floating command center. Electronic warfare suite, provides stealth and superior electronic defense. 4. Katobar versus Stobar. Debate. INS Vikrant uses Stobar, short takeoff, barrier-assisted recovery. Future carriers may use Katobar, catapult-assisted takeoff, for better efficiency. Comparison. INS Vikrant versus Chinese Fujian carrier. Fujian, China's latest carrier, has electromagnetic catapults, making it more advanced. India must develop Katobar carriers in the future to match China's naval expansion. Challenges for India's carrier program. 1. Budget constraints. Aircraft carriers cost billions to build and maintain. India must balance carrier production with other military needs, submarines, drones, AI warfare. 2. Need for more carrier-based aircraft. MiG-29Ks are outdated. India must acquire Rafale M or indigenous TED-BF for future carriers. 3. Lack of nuclear-powered carriers. China and the US have nuclear carriers with unlimited range. India must invest in nuclear propulsion for INS Vishal, next-gen carrier. India's future plans. INS Vishal and beyond. INS Vishal, India's next carrier, is planned to be 100,000 tons with Katobar technology. Will India build a 3rd carrier to compete with China? If India does not build at least 3 aircraft carriers, it risks losing strategic dominance in the Indian Ocean. Indian Navy fleet, future naval projects, defense analysts speaking. INS Vikrant is a symbol of India's rising naval power. But one carrier is not enough. India must continue building its carrier fleet to counter China's aggressive expansion. The future of naval warfare will be determined in the Indian Ocean, and India must stay ahead in the game. Should India build a 3rd aircraft carrier? Let us know in the comments. INS Vikrant is more than just India's first indigenously built aircraft carrier. It is a technological masterpiece that showcases India's engineering and naval prowess. Let's break down its state-of-the-art features, combat capabilities, and strategic significance. INS Vikrant was designed and built in India, marking a historic milestone in the country's defense manufacturing sector. Built by Cochin Shipyard Limited, CEL. Design collaboration, Indian Navy's Directorate of Naval Design, DND. First fully indigenous carrier, 76% of components sourced from India. Challenges overcome. Constructing an aircraft carrier is one of the most complex engineering feats. Only a few nations can do it. Required development of special steel, DMR 249A, manufactured by India's Steel Authority of India, SAIL. Over 500 Indian firms contributed, boosting the Atmanirbhar Bharat, Self-Reliant India initiative. Strategic impact. India joins an elite club of nations that can design and manufacture aircraft carriers alongside the US, UK, China, France, and Russia. An aircraft carrier is only as powerful as its air wing. INS Vikrant serves as a fully functional airbase at sea, capable of launching a variety of aircraft for combat, reconnaissance, and support missions. Current aircraft fleet: MiG-29K primary multi-role fighter, Kamov Ka-31 airborne early warning and control, MH-60R Seahawk advanced anti-submarine warfare and maritime operations, HAL Dhruv utility helicopter. Future aircraft upgrades: Rafale M French naval fighter being considered, indigenous twin-engine deck-based fighter, TED-BF, designed for future Vikrant-class carriers. Strategic impact enhances India's aerial strike capability over vast oceanic regions, provides air dominance in a battle group, extending combat operations beyond the Indian mainland. INS Vikrant operates on a Stobar system, similar to Russia's aircraft carriers. How it works: ski jump ramp helps aircraft take off with a short runway. Arrestor wires rapidly decelerate landing aircraft, preventing overshooting. Stobar versus Katobar debate. Stobar, used by INS Vikrant and Vikramaditya. Pros: simpler, more cost-effective, requires less space. Cons: limits the type of aircraft, no heavy fighter bombers. Katobar, used by US and China's latest carriers. Pros: can launch heavier aircraft, AWACS, strike bombers. Cons: expensive, complex electromagnetic launch system. Future consideration: India's next carrier, INS Vishal, may adopt Katobar to match China's Type 03 Fujian. INS Vikrant's Combat Management System, CMS, is an AI-driven networked system that integrates all its weapons, sensors, and communication. Real-time data fusion processes radar, sonar, and satellite data for tactical awareness, links with submarines, destroyers, and maritime aircraft for coordinated defense. Automated threat detection and response uses machine learning and AI to classify and track threats, directs weapon systems automatically for rapid countermeasures. Strategic impact ensures superior battlefield awareness, reduces reaction time in naval warfare, enhancing survivability. INS Vikrant is equipped with multi-layered radar systems for detecting airborne, surface, and underwater threats. Main radar systems: EL-M2248 MF-STAR multifunction radar provides 360-degree surveillance, can track hundreds of targets simultaneously. CELEX-RAN-40L long-range radar detects threats over 400 kilometers away, capable of early warning against incoming aircraft and missiles. Strategic impact strengthens India's carrier strike group defenses, allows Vikrant to operate deep in hostile waters without surprise attacks. In modern warfare, cyber and electronic attacks are as dangerous as missiles. INS Vikrant is fortified with digital defenses. Electronic warfare EW systems detects and disrupts enemy radars and missiles before they lock onto the ship, uses jamming signals to protect its fleet from guided attacks. Cyber warfare protection AI-driven firewalls prevent enemy hacking attempts. Quantum encrypted communication ensures secure messaging. Strategic impact ensures INS Vikrant can operate in contested waters without electronic interference. Protects India's naval command and control from cyber threats. Multi-layered defense systems, fortifying INS Vikrant. Visuals, missile launches, CIWs firing, torpedo countermeasures. An aircraft carrier is a high-value target, so INS Vikrant has multiple layers of defense. Weapons and countermeasures. Barak 8 long-range surface-to-air missiles, protects against aircraft, drones, cruise missiles. Can engage threats up to 100 kilometers away. AK-630 close-in weapon system, CIWS. Last line of defense against incoming missiles. Fires 4,500 rounds per minute to destroy threats at close range. Decoy and torpedo countermeasures. Launches chaff and flares to divert enemy missiles. Deploys anti-submarine torpedoes to neutralize underwater threats. Strategic impact ensures survivability in high-threat environments. Allows INS Vikrant to operate without destroyer escort protection. INS Vikrant is more than just a warship. It is a symbol of India's rising naval power, strengthens India's ability to dominate the Indian Ocean, showcases India's technological and industrial capabilities, lays the foundation for future indigenous aircraft carriers. Final thought: should India now focus on nuclear-powered aircraft carriers like the US and China? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. INS Vikrant is not just a warship. It is a strategic asset that significantly enhances India's naval doctrine. It strengthens India's maritime capabilities in multiple ways, reinforcing deterrence, power projection, and dominance in the Indian Ocean region, IOR. Let's analyze how Vikrant aligns with and enhances India's naval doctrine from various strategic perspectives. India's naval doctrine is anchored in controlling the Indian Ocean region, IOR, which is home to some of the world's busiest shipping lanes. Over 60% of global oil trade and one-third of the world's bulk cargo pass through the IOR. Strategic choke points India must secure. Strait of Hormuz west, oil supply route from the Middle East. Strait of Malacca east, key transit route between the Indian and Pacific Oceans. Bab el-Mandeb west, connection between the Red Sea and Arabian Sea. How INS Vikrant enhances control. Provides a mobile naval presence, ensuring India can respond swiftly to threats in these regions. Strengthens India's ability to counter piracy, protect sea lanes, and secure energy supplies. Counters China's growing influence in the Indian Ocean, string of pearls strategy. India's naval doctrine includes both sea control and sea denial strategies, two opposing but complementary tactics. Sea control, ensuring dominance over vital sea lanes. Projecting air and naval power deep into contested waters, allows India to control maritime trade routes. Sea denial, preventing enemy forces from using key maritime zones, using aircraft, submarines, and warships to neutralize enemy assets, essential to blocking potential adversaries like China from expanding influence. How INS Vikrant strengthens these capabilities, acts as a floating airbase, allowing India to maintain air superiority over the ocean. Provides a platform for offensive strikes against enemy fleets if necessary. Increases India's deterrence capabilities in potential conflicts. Example, if tensions rise in the Indo-Pacific, INS Vikrant can immediately deploy air assets to deter aggression near the Andaman and Nicobar Islands or off India's western coast. A single aircraft carrier is vulnerable without a support fleet. India follows the doctrine of carrier battle groups, CBGs, a combined force that includes destroyers, INS Kolkata, INS Visakhapatnam, frigates, INS Shivalik, INS Talwar, submarines, Kaveri-class Scorpion submarines, logistics ships. Strategic benefits of CBGs with INS Vikrant: multi-layered defense, air cover, missile defense, and anti-submarine warfare. Power projection: India can send a CBG deep into contested waters. Deterrence effect: any potential adversary must consider the risks of facing an Indian carrier battle group. Comparison: the U.S. has 11 carrier battle groups, allowing them to project power globally. China is rapidly building its own aircraft carrier fleet to challenge U.S. naval dominance. INS Vikrant is India's step towards achieving similar power projection in the Indo-Pacific. China's string of pearls strategy involves building naval bases and infrastructure around India, including Gwadar, Pakistan, Hambantota, Sri Lanka, Djibouti, Horn of Africa, Cocos Islands, Myanmar. China's expanding carrier fleet, Liaoning Aircraft Carrier 1, 65,000 tons, Stovar system. Shandong Aircraft Carrier 2, 70,000 tons, Stobar system. Fujian Aircraft Carrier 3, 80,000 tons, Katobar system, electromagnetic launch. How INS Vikrant helps India counter China. Increases India's ability to patrol the Indian Ocean and challenge Chinese naval presence. Ensures India can block Chinese access to vital shipping routes in a conflict scenario. Forms the foundation for India's future carrier program, potential nuclear-powered INS Vishal. INS Vikrant allows India to project power beyond its shores and maintain influence in strategic regions. Persian Gulf and Arabian Sea, protecting India's energy supply lines. Bay of Bengal and Southeast Asia, strengthening alliances with ASEAN nations. Africa and Western Indian Ocean, countering piracy and ensuring regional stability. How Vikrant strengthens India's diplomatic and military reach. Joint exercises with allies. India can operate alongside the US, France, Japan, and Australia in the Indo-Pacific. Naval diplomacy. India can station Vikrant in partner nations during times of crisis. Expeditionary warfare potential. Vikrant can deploy forces for humanitarian and combat missions. Evacuation of Indians from war zones. INS Vikramaditya and other naval ships have previously been deployed to evacuate Indian citizens from conflict zones. INS Vikrant enhances this ability, allowing larger-scale humanitarian operations. India follows a no-first-use NFU nuclear policy, which means its second strike capability is crucial. Components of India's nuclear triad: land-based missiles, Agni-series ICBMs, air-based strike, Rafale and Mirage 2000 with nuclear payloads, sea-based deterrent, INS Arihant-class nuclear submarines. Role of INS Vikrant in nuclear strategy: enhances protection of India's ballistic missile submarines, SSBNs, ensures sea-based deterrence remains operational during conflicts, can support long-range air operations using MiG-29Ks, extending India's nuclear deterrence capability. Future potential. If India develops nuclear-powered carriers, Vikrant-class carriers could become a key part of nuclear deterrence patrols. Visuals: INS Vikrant with the Indian flag, fighter jets launching, naval war games. INS Vikrant strengthens India's position as a blue water navy, enhances deterrence, power projection, and strategic control over the Indian Ocean, forms the foundation for future aircraft carrier development, including nuclear-powered options. Final thought: should India accelerate the development of INS Vishal, a 100,000-ton nuclear-powered supercarrier? INS Vikrant represents a crucial milestone in India's quest for naval dominance, but it is only the beginning. The future of India's aircraft carrier program lies in the development of INS Vishal, a next-generation carrier that will push India into the elite club of true blue water naval powers. But what will INS Vishal bring to the table, and how will future aircraft carriers shape India's global military posture? Let's explore the next evolution of India's aircraft carrier strategy and its impact on national security, power projection, and geopolitical influence. INS Vishal is envisioned as India's first supercarrier, a vessel capable of hosting more aircraft, advanced systems, and greater power projection capabilities. While it is still in the planning and feasibility phase, it is expected to feature 100,000-ton displacement, a major leap from INS Vikrant's 45,000 tons. Nuclear-powered propulsion, unlimited endurance at sea, removing fuel limitations. Catobar Launch System, Electromagnetic Aircraft Launch System, EMALS. Fifth-generation fighter aircraft, likely TED-BF, twin-engine deck-based fighter. Unmanned combat aerial vehicles, UK integration. Laser and directed energy weapon systems for missile defense. Why a nuclear-powered carrier? Unlimited endurance, can stay at sea for years without refueling. High power output, supports energy-intensive systems like railguns and electromagnetic catapults. Faster aircraft launch cycles, more sorties per day for sustained operations. Increased combat range, no need for refueling escorts like tankers. Comparison with global carriers: INS Vishal planned 100,000 tons, nuclear-powered EMALS. USS Gerald R. Ford, USA, 100,000 tons, nuclear, EMALS, stealth tech. Fujian, China, 80,000 tons, conventional power, EMALS. India's long-term naval strategy revolves around sea control, power projection, and dominance in the Indo-Pacific. INS Vishal will be the cornerstone of these ambitions with far-reaching strategic consequences. Sustained global presence. INS Vishal will allow India to station a carrier battle group, CBG, anywhere in the world for extended durations. 2. Deterrence against China and Pakistan. A supercarrier acts as a powerful deterrent, signaling India's ability to defend its interests aggressively. 3. Full-spectrum warfare capability. INS Vishal will be able to launch air, sea, and electronic warfare operations simultaneously. 4. Carrier diplomacy. India will be able to conduct joint naval exercises, humanitarian missions, and show-of-force deployments with partner nations. Example: if tensions rise in the South China Sea, INS Vishal's Carrier Strike Group, CSG, can deploy as a warning signal, much like the U.S. does with its supercarriers. As of now, India operates INS Vikramaditya, Russian-built Stobar carrier, INS Vikrant, India's first indigenous aircraft carrier, Stobar. With INS Vishal in planning, the question arises, should India have 2 or 3 aircraft carriers? Strategic need for 3 carriers. 1 carrier in deployment, actively patrolling India's maritime zones. 1 carrier in maintenance, undergoing refits and upgrades. 1 carrier in reserve, available for rapid deployment when needed. China's rapid carrier expansion. China plans to field at least 6 aircraft carriers by 2040. The Fujian, China's most advanced carrier, already surpasses India's Vikrant. China's Type 004, planned, will be a 100,000-ton nuclear-powered supercarrier. India must decide, will it expand to keep pace or fall behind? Aircraft carriers are only as effective as the fighters and bombers they carry. The future of India's carrier air wing will depend on next-generation fighter aircraft and unmanned combat drones. 1 TED-BF, twin-engine deck-based fighter, the future of India's carrier fighters, developed by HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, designed to replace the MiG-29K fleet on Indian carriers. features stealth, advanced avionics, and long-range strike capability. Will operate from INS Vikrant and INS Vishal. Comparison: TED-BF versus other carrier fighters. Fighter country role, stealth carrier compatibility. TED-BF India multi-role semi-stealth Vikrant. Vishal FA-18 Super Hornet USA multi-role no US carriers. Vikrant, tested. J-35 China multi-role yes Fujian. Why TED-BF matters. Designed specifically for Indian carriers. Indigenous development, reducing reliance on foreign imports. Carrier compatibility with INS Vikrant and INS Vishal. Drones and UCAVs will play a crucial role in future naval warfare, and India is investing heavily in DRDO's autonomous carrier drones, Ghatak stealth UCAV, armed predator drones, MQ-9B Sea Guardian. Benefits of carrier-based UCAVs: high-endurance missions, can loiter for hours without risking pilots. Swarm tactics, multiple UCAVs can overwhelm enemy air defenses. Electronic warfare and surveillance, jamming, reconnaissance, and data collection. Future vision: INS Vishal will likely feature an integrated drone control center for launching UCAV swarm attacks. Aircraft carriers are not just about warfighting, they are strategic tools for shaping global influence. Force projection in the Indo-Pacific: India can deploy carriers to counter Chinese expansion. Deterrence against adversaries: a nuclear-powered carrier enhances India's defensive posture. Stronger alliances with Quad and global partners. Joint exercises with the US, Japan, Australia, and France. Economic and trade route protection, ensuring uninterrupted commerce in the Indian Ocean. Final thought: INS Vishal and beyond will redefine India's naval future, but should India invest in even more advanced supercarriers or focus on a hybrid navy of carriers and submarines? INS Vikrant is more than just a warship. It's a declaration of India's naval power. But what do you think? Should India build a third aircraft carrier after Vikrant?